Unit 3, Lesson 19, the last unit, or the last lesson of Unit 3, deals with translating inequalities and solving. Alright, so that's what we want to learn how to do. We want to learn how to translate the following words here that you see. Okay, my pen is frozen. There we go. Alright. One thing I want to point out before we get started here is we actually did this before. A lot of this is going to be review. And we didn't do it with inequalities, though. We did it with equations. And we said that we use the word is for equals, or is equal to, or is the same as back when we translated equations. Okay? And one of the things you're going to notice is the same thing we stressed before, which was we kept saying is the biggest word in math. Alright? You're going to notice that that is still the case. Alright? The word is going to pop up with every one of these terms. Look at all of them. Okay, is all over the place. Alright, because when you see the word is, it lets you know that you're going to have one of these symbols comparing one side to another side, whether they're equal or one of the inequalities. Alright, so when I go to look at these statements, I'm asked to translate and solve. Alright, the first thing I'm going to do is locate the word is and see what statement is attached to it. Like that's is less than, is at least, or is no more than, or how about this one, is more than, or is at most, okay, is no less than. Make sure you have these highlighted some way, shape, or form because it's going to help you with this, okay. So now let's go ahead and actually do the translation, okay. Is less than is a symbol that looks like this. On this side, I have the words 12 less than x. Now, a lot of people confuse less than versus is less than. Alright? The difference is in that word right there. The biggest word in math. The two-letter word is. This is the symbol less than. This is subtraction in opposite orders. In op order. Okay, so I'm going to subtract in opposite order, meaning the x goes first, the 12 goes second. So the only time I don't do direct translation is when we see the words than or from. On the other side, we have the opposite of 12, so that's negative 12. Okay, I'll come back and solve it in a second. Let's go ahead and do B. Okay, B says is at least 11. Now, you can look up here and see is at least is the symbol for greater than or equal to. But logically, when you think about it, what this is saying is we could be equal to 11, but we cannot be smaller than it, because at the very least we're 11, so we have to be bigger than it, so bigger than or greater than. Sum means to add, so I have x plus 7. Alright, now let's go ahead and solve this. Alright, over here we would add 12 to both sides, and we would end up with x being less than 0. Okay, over here, we would subtract 7, and we would end up with x being greater than or equal to 4. Right, we're not asked to graph, so we're not going to worry about that. Let's go ahead and move on. Okay, let's take a look at C. We have the product of 5 and y is more than 15. Again, I'm going to take care of the sign. Is no more than 15. Okay, which means I could be equal to 15, but no more than it, so I have to be less than it. So less than or equal to. Product means to multiply, so we're going to multiply 5 and y. Alright? And I'm going to make a change here. I forgot there's a typo here. I was supposed to make this negative 5. So put a negative there, and let's put a negative here. Okay, thank you. Alright, so from there, we're going to divide both sides by negative 5. And we know the rule that says whenever you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, you need to flip the inequality sign. So we end up with negative 3 there. Alright, let's move on to example D. We have is more than is going to be the sign for greater than. So is more than is greater than 6. I have the difference of twice a number. Difference means to subtract. Twice a number is multiplying by 2. And 8 is more than 6. So I'm going to do this here. I'm adding to both sides. That's 14. Divide by 2. And I get x is greater than 7. Alright, 2 more to go. Taking a look at this one. is at most 5 means the biggest I could be is 5, but I certainly could be less than it. Alright, but I could be equal to it, so I make sure I include that sign. Quotient means division, so I'm dividing x and 5, decreased by 12. So from there, I'm going to add 12 to both sides. I get x over 5 less than or equal to, I'm adding 12, so that's 17. Multiply both sides by 5, and x is less than or equal to 85. And the last one is no less than 5, means we cannot be less than 5, so we have to be bigger than it, but we can be equal to it. And we have this less than again, which is subtraction in opposite order, so the 8's going to go here, that's going to be here. Alright, we're going to subtract 8 from each side. And we have negative x greater than or equal to negative 3. Divide both sides by negative 1, and because I'm dividing both sides by a negative, this sign needs to flip. So I have x is less than or equal to 3. Alright, so really the new thing here, this is something you're going to really have to work on. Alright, make sure you know this information. Alright, you may want to make flashcards or something to quiz yourself, but these terms are things you need to know. See you in class tomorrow.